So they're going to say, solve X and Y simultaneously. So there's going to be values for X and values for Y. I'm going to show you the method. So I don't know if you've done this. So we look at these two equations. You can rewrite them and say 2x minus y equals 1. That is my first equation. And then x squared minus 2xy plus 2x minus y squared equals 0. That is my second equation. And now you're going to find the equation, one of the two. In one or two, you can either make x or y the subject of the equation. Well, if I look at the first equation, it's easy to get y the subject. Most of the time, you're just going to ignore the equation with the power of 2 in them, because that's difficult to get x or y on its own. So now you're going to say out of 1, or just, you don't even have to write that. You can just say, therefore, if I make y the subject, then 2x minus 1 equals y. Is that true? Use the first equation.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to rename that. Some students give it a number 3, and some just give it another number 1, because it's actually the same equation. And then you're going to substitute the third equation into the second one. So now I'm going to make, I actually solved y already in terms of x. That's basically what I did. I solved y in terms of x. So now I'm going to put y, that y value back into the second equation. So wherever there's a y, I'm going to write 2x minus 1. So that second equation, I have x squared minus 2x, and then instead of a y, I'm going to write 2x minus 1. That's just substituting it. Plus 2x, and then minus, instead of a y, I'm going to write 2x minus 1 squared. You see what I've done?
Yeah.
So now all my y's are gone, and I only have x's in that equation. So let's multiply that out. That's x squared minus 4x squared plus 2x minus, and that you can multiply out as 4x squared minus 4x plus 1, and that equals 0. You happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 4x squared plus 4x minus 1 is 0. So that's a simple multiplying it out. So minus 7x squared plus 8x minus 1 is 0. And now I can factorize that. But I don't know if you always do this. I always do this. I make sure that my quadratic term is positive. So I just multiplied with -1. Then I get 7x squared minus 8x plus 1 is 0. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, can you factorize that? Sure. Okay. So that will be an easy factorization, because the factors of 1 is just 1 and 1, and 7 is just 7 and 1. Minus, minus. Happy with that? X equals 1 over 7. What's happening here? Okay, or 1. Happy? Yes. Okay, now there's 2 values for x, and therefore there will be 2 values for y. If x equals a 7th, then look at this equation here. Then y will be 2 times your x value minus 1. That you can just do in the calculator. What's that? Is that -5 over 7? Yeah.
Yeah.
-5 over 7. If x equals 1, then y equals 2 times 1 minus 1, and then y is 1. So there's 2 values for y and 2 values for x. So my screen has now become really small. These are huge sums. They count anything between 5 and 7 marks, mostly 6 marks. This one is 6 marks. So the only thing I need to know is, do you understand what we're doing? we're making X or Y the subject of the equation in one of the, in the easier formula, and then we're just substituting it back into the other equation. It's not difficult, is it?
No.
Okay, let's do another one. Do you want to try it on your own, or do you want to run through another one with me?
We can do another one and I'll do one on my own after.
Okay, this is now a bad one. I'm trying to get an easy one. Just trying to get an easier one than the one I just tried to copy, because there's fractions in that one. Give me a second. I'll just do another one. Try and find another one. Okay, let's do this interesting one, and then we can revert back to a more normal one. Okay, this one will look really weird, but I think you're going to be able to do it easy peasy. Okay, there's your two equations. Okay, they're just written. It's interesting. So the first equation is 4 to the power of x plus y, and that equals 2 to the power of y plus 4. That's your first equation. And the second equation is 2x squared minus 3xy, and that equals -4. All right. Quickly write that down, and then you just think, which of these two equations are you going to use first? I'm back in a second. Okay, which one are you going to use, you think?
Why don't you use equation 2?
Okay, equation 2 is a problem. Why? Because how will I make y the subjective equation? Look at this. If I throw the 3xy over, it looks like this, and then I have 2x squared plus 4, and then I have to divide that with 3x to get y. Agreed? That is something I don't want to substitute. It's not wrong. It's just going to make life very difficult. Look at this first equation. Oh, I've deleted that one. Look at the first equation. Those are actually, that's actually an exponential equation, isn't it? So that's 2 to the power of 2x plus y equals 2 to the power of y plus 4. So that's 2 to the power of 2x plus 2y equals 2 to the power of y plus 4. Therefore, 2x plus 2y equals y plus 4. Now, if I throw all the y's to the left, I have 1y, and that is 4 minus 2x, and there's my third equation. Okay, that was a bit tricky because you haven't seen that yet. So I'm just showing you that. We'll revert back to easier ones after this. You see what I've done? Just have a quick look. Exactly what I've got there. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So now I'm going to substitute 3 into 2. You can't substitute 3 back into 1 because then you'll just get 0 equals 0 because that's basically the same equation. So everywhere there's a y, I'm going to write 4 minus 2x. So that's 2x squared minus 3x. And instead of a y, I'm going to write 4 minus 2x. And that equals -4. Good. So I have 2x squared minus 12x plus 6x squared equals -4. 8x squared minus 12x plus 4 is 0. Happy?
Yeah.
I'm going to divide with 4. 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 is 0. And then I am going to actually factorize that. X is a half or 1. Happy? And now actually the sum,
How come you divided it by 4?
because 8 divided by 4, everything can divide with 4.
Oh, okay.
It just makes the factorization easier. You could have factorized it without dividing by 4, but look, it's easier to factorize that equation than the bottom one, the top one.
Yeah.
Okay, now I've got two values for x. So now I'm going to say if x equals half, then there's my equation to get y. There we go. Then y equals 4 minus 2 times a half, and that is 3. If x equals 1, then y equals 4 minus 2 times 1, and that is 2. So there's my values for y, and there's my x values.
Okay. Yeah.
So I want to look at that first example again. Okay. Right. Third one is yours. See if you can apply what we've learned. The first equation is x squared plus 2xy, and that will equal 3y squared minus 7. There's your first equation. And the second one is 3x minus y is 1. And there's your second equation. And I want you to solve that simultaneously. Right, there you go. 6 marks. We're going to practice a couple of them, and then we're going to do inequalities also. Just tell me when you're struggling.
Quick question.
Yes. Which, yeah, okay.
When I'm subbing in the 3 into the 1,
Okay.
then because the first equation has an equal to sign, do we take everything on the one side and equal it to 0?
Well, I'm not really with you. Just help me out. You chose the second equation. You said,
Okay, yeah. Okay, can I tell you from the beginning?
out of 2, and then you said y equals 3x minus 1, and that was your third
Yeah.
equation. Okay, then you substitute into 1. Substitute
Yeah.
3 in 1. Awesome. Okay, so instead of a y, you just wrote all of that.
So I put x squared plus 2x brackets 3x minus 1
Yeah.
close brackets equals to 3 open brackets 3x minus 1 close brackets squared negative 7.
And then you multiplied everything out.
Then I multiplied and that gave me x squared plus 6x minus 2 equals to 9x squared minus 3 negative 7.
Okay, no, wait. I think you made a little mistake here. That 3 was there. Then squaring that bracket becomes 9x squared minus 6x plus 1 minus 7. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you've got that. So we have here 7x squared minus 2x. And on this side, we have 27x squared minus 18x plus 3 minus 7. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have that.
Okay, everything to the right. Why? If I throw everything to the right, I'm going to keep my x squares positive. That's the point I want to do. That becomes negative 16x, and then 3 minus 7 is minus 4. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you want to keep everything to the equaling 0. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah. No, that is what I was asking. Like,
Yeah.
what? Because we have
Otherwise, you
two.
can't solve that trinomial. I'll also divide with 4. And it doesn't matter which side you write the 0. So did Ibrahim finish his assignment?
I think he did it today. I'm not sure.
Is yours finished and handed in already?
Mine is finished, but I'm handing in all my assignments on Monday.
Okay.
And I did all my experiments for the physics. I just have to complete my write-up now, and then I'm completely finished.
What was that assignment again on?
Intermolecular forces.
Yeah, that wasn't a nice assignment. Okay, we factorize this. 5x, x, 1, 1, minus, plus. X is negative 1 over 5, or 1. And then you just substitute it back. Then what? Y equals 3 times, you can just type this in your calculator. You don't have to, minus 1. What's that? I think it's minus 8 over 5.
Yeah, minus 8 over 5.
Okay, so we've got 2 values for x. We're going to get 2 values for y. If x equals 1, then y equals 3 times 1 minus 1. And that is 2.
2.
That's cool. That's the type of thing you're going to get.
Okay, that's simple.
Yeah, look, it just takes a little bit of practice, because it's not really about the difficulty of the sum. It's just really about the flow of the sum. You need to get your ducks in a row type of thing. You have to know what the first step is to get the easy equation, make something like x or y the subject, pump it back into the other quadratic equation, and then just factorize and solve. If it doesn't factorize here in your first step, yeah, then you might have a calculation mistake. It's fine if it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't factorize, but then then they'll probably tell you that you must leave the answer in 2 decimals. Then you know it's not going to factorize. Right. The next thing is inequalities. Before we do that, I just want to test something. What does this mean? What does that mean?
The middle part.
No, just this whole thing. That means x is what?
X is less than or equal to 4.
Yeah, it's smaller or equal, less than equal to 4. So on like a timeline, if we have 4 there, then x would be all the values including 4 and also lower. Is that correct?
Yeah.
If I have this, x is smaller than 10 and larger or equal than -2. On a timeline, we can have a 10 here and a -2 there. It will not include 10, but it will include -2. And then x is the values between that. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Good, 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 good. So now you're going to do quadratic inequalities. We used to solve equations like this. X squared minus 7x plus 10 is 0. And then what you did is you just factorized it. You said, okay, fine, I'm going to factorize that. Bang. That's x, 5, and 2 minus minus. So x is 5 or 2. Okay, that was simple. Well, yeah, depends on how well you can factorize. Now we're going to do not equal 0, but various values that can be larger or smaller than 0. So in that first sum we did, we only found 2 values. If we substitute those 2 values back into the equation, we get 0. But now you can get something like this. Smaller or equal than 0. Now there's going to be hundreds and millions of possible answers. All the possible answers that will make my equation either equaling 0 or something smaller than 0. Something smaller than 0 is a negative value. So in other words, I'm telling you, please solve x so that I can either get 0 or any negative value. So the method is, you're going to still factorize this. You're going to still factorize that. Same. But you're not going to write the answer is 5 or 2. You're going to put those answers on a line. The one is 5. We call that roots or 0 points. And the other one is 2. And then we have to figure out which of those values higher than 5 will give me positive, and where will I find negative values. Now, 99% of the time, every value higher than 5 that you put back into the equation will give you a positive value. Any value between those two will give you a negative value, and any value lower than 2 will give you a positive value. Let me explain that to you. So most students don't even bother with explanation. They just do positive, negative, positive. I'll show you where that comes from. Choose any value on earth larger than 5. Like a 10, 100. Okay, let's choose a 10. If I put 10 in here, that is 10 minus 5, and that's a positive value. 10 minus 5 is positive. If I put 10 in there, I get 10 minus 2, which is a positive value. And a positive times a positive is a positive value. So any value higher than 5, if I put it in, I'll get a positive value. So let's choose something between 2 and 5. Let's choose 3. If I put a value 3 in, 3 minus 5 is -2. That's a negative value. And 3 minus 2 is a positive value. And a negative times a positive is a negative. Good. If I put in any value below 2, like a 0, 0 minus 5 is a negative value. And 0 minus 2 is a negative value. And negative times a negative is a positive. So that's how I get that positive, negative, positive. So in other words, if I put in any value above 5 or equal to 5, I'll get a 0 or positive. If I put in any value below 2 or 2 or below, I get a positive value. If I put in any value between 2 and 5, I get a negative value. Now I'm going to look at what they're asking me. They're asking me to get the equation to be smaller or equal than 0. So they want negative values. And my negative values are all stacked between the 2 and the 5. So I can find all those values anywhere from 2 to 5. So my x value must be larger or equal than 2 and smaller than equal than 5. And it can be any real number. So there's my answer. Is this difficult? It's new.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll get a hang of it once I just do a few examples.
Yeah, after you've done a couple, you'll get a hang of it. Let's do another one. So I'm going to do x squared minus 5x plus 6 is larger than 0. Good. So you're going to get half the marks just by factorizing. That's a tricky factorization because 6 have two factors that both give you 5. So you must make sure you choose the right one. So that's x and x. And 3 times 2 is 6. And -3 and then -2 is -5. So there's my timeline, my number line. And the one root value is 3 and the other one is 2. You realize how I got that 3 and 2. You know exactly how I got those.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm rushed for time, I'm just going to do this. And you'll find that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay. Now I'll go back to my equation. I want the equation to be larger or equal than 0. All the pluses. There's the pluses. There's the pluses. In other words, x must be smaller than 2 and x must be larger than 3. X must be real numbers. In other words, any value, any possible value. I've got 2 areas where I can find my answer. Therefore, I have 2 different answers. In the previous sum, I had 1 area, the yellow area, and therefore I had 1 answer. 2 areas, 2 answers. Do you want to try one? I'm going to leave it just like that. And then we have x squared negative, let's say 4x negative 5 is smaller or equal than 0. I'm going to keep it easy for now. You must also send me a little screenshot of the inequalities in your textbook, Amira, because what they've done is in the CAP syllabus, they've toned down the difficulty of your inequalities a lot. But there's some, you might find that you need to do some of the older ones that's really pretty difficult. Okay.
Find pictures of all the inequalities.
Yeah, do the sum, and then you afterwards you go to your textbook, and then you just go and look at the end of the exercise on equalities, and you just send me a screenshot. I just want to see if there's difficult ones that you need to be able to do. But first, focus on this. First, focus on this. Hey, what's that?
Oh, it's my notification.
It didn't sound very good. Tell me if you're struggling.
Yes, the fact is,
it's 5 and 1, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple of tricks. Okay, it's x and x, and it's 5 and 1. So if I want to have a -4, so I say owe you 5 rand and give you 1 rand. And -5 times +1 is -5, and -5 plus 1 is -4. So those are the factors.
And then you have on your line -5 and then 1.
+5 and -1.
Oh, okay.
Remember, I need to get those 0 points or the root values. It's always different sign. And now you're going to just do plus, minus, plus. It's not always like that. That's what why I want to see some of your examples. Good, good, good. Okay, good. I'm looking for negatives or positives. Look at your equation.
Won't you don't you have a negative?
Yeah, the equation must be smaller or equal than 0. Oops. Yeah. So I'm looking for these negatives. And there's one section, so I have one answer. It starts from -1 and it ends at 5. So x must be larger or equal than -1 and smaller or equal than 5. X is element of real numbers. Okay, quickly send me that WhatsApp, write this down, and then send me. I just want to look at that. And if there's hard ones in there or difficult ones, then I have to explain something else to you.
There's inequalities of fractions, and that's the last.
Oh, really? Is there fractions? Okay, that's a big problem. Yeah, that is a problem. Lots of textbooks doesn't have them in anymore, but that is a big problem. Okay, we'll have to go through them quickly.
Just send you those questions.
I don't see the fractions, Miriam.
Yeah, it's this one. Yeah, I'm sending it to you now.
So there's a couple of here that we can do.
And that's one.
Oh, it's only coming through now. Yeah, those are bad news. Okay, bad news. Look at those stars. You see that? That's wicked. You won't get those in the caps paper anymore, but we'll have to run through them. Otherwise, you won't be able to do them. I just want to show you something here. There's something interesting here. They have in, it's small. I want to look at 8.9. That is -x plus 3. And that is x minus 4. And that is x minus 1 is smaller or equal than 0. Okay, look at that. Now, they got 3 root values here. It's already factorized, so you don't have to worry about that. The one value is 4, the other one is 3, and the other one is 1. Just confirm that. If I put a 3 in, I get a 0 bracket. If I put a 4 in, I get a 0 bracket. If I get a 1, put a 1 in, I get a 0 bracket. You happy with that?
Yeah.
Good. There's more of them, yeah. More problems. Right. Now I can do plus, minus, plus, minus. You can test it. Put in any value larger than 4, like a 10. Oh, we have a problem. We have a -x. we have to test that. So let's just get the first one. Let's put in any value larger than 4, like a 10. If I put a 10 in here, I get a minus. If I put a 10 in here, I get a plus. If I put a 10 in here, I get a plus. A minus times a plus is a minus. Ah, why? I have a negative value in front of that x, and that will change my sign. This will be now a plus, a minus, and a plus. But you can write it like that and just test it anywhere. If I test a 2 in there, if I put a 2 in, you understand what I'm doing now? I'm just testing if all those values are going to be negative. If I put a 2 in, I get a plus, a minus, and a plus. And that is a negative. That's correct. I'll show you now when there's a square. Okay, so I'm looking for what? I'm looking for smaller or equal than 0. So I'm looking for all my negative sections. There and there. That one section starts at 1 and ends at 3. So x must be larger or equal than 1. And smaller and equal than 3. Or the other section is larger than 4. So x must be larger or equal than 4. And x is real numbers. You understand that?
Yeah.
It's very important. Okay, so this was a difficult one. Then we have something evil. 8.10. They have x squared minus 2x minus 1. And x plus 5 is larger or equal than 0. This you'll have to factorize. And if you can't, then you have to use the formula. Okay. That's difficult. So at least what you know is on your line, there will be a number 5, and the other 2 will be root values. Because they tell you here, give the answer in the simplest surd form. Okay. Let's go to the next page. This is a problem page. Okay, let's start with 8.17 first. I have x minus 1 over 3 minus x is smaller or equal than 0. So there's it's already factorized. There's the line, and the one value is a 3. Can you see that? And the other value is a 1. But it's not allowed to be 3 because x is not allowed to be 3 because then I have undefined value. Now, put in any value larger than 3. Let's put in a 10. At top, I'm going to have a positive. At the bottom, I'm going to have a negative. And a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Put in any value between 1 and 3, like 2. Then I have a positive on top and a positive at the bottom if I put a 2 in. So that will be positive, and that's going to be negative as well. I want all the negative values because my equation must be smaller or equal than 0. There's the one negative bit. There's the other negative bit. So the x's must be smaller or equal than 1, or x must be larger and equal to 3 and real. Are you happy with that? Oh, sorry, there's a mistake. There's the mistake. It's not allowed to be equal to 3. See that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking that equal sign out. Okay, awesome. Happy?
Will there be fractions in the test?
Pardon?
Will there be these fractions in the test?
No idea.
Oh.
Let's do this difficult one. This 8.21. Yeah, I don't know, Amira. Look,
Anything with fractions is just weird.
no, it's just one value on top of another. Think about it that way. Okay, so I wouldn't know what's in the test. I don't set up the test. I've got nothing to do with setting up the papers. I don't even know where to find the test. There we go. Happy with that? Okay, now this is going to be like 5 or 6 marks. Why? You're not allowed to multiply right through with the denominator. because then you will lose values. So I have to bring that I have to bring that term over to the left-hand side of the equation. You see what I've done?
Mhm.
Then I'm going to make a common denominator. The common denominator is x plus 2 and x minus 3. So I multiply the two denominators with one another to get a common denominator. Then I must multiply the 2 on top with x minus 3, and I multiply the negative 3 with x plus 2. So now I have 2x minus 6 minus 3x minus 6 on top of x plus 2, x minus 3, and that is larger or equal than 0. Right, so let's just continue there. That is negative x, negative 12 over x plus 2, x minus 3, and that is larger or equal than 0. What I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply. I don't like that negative x, negative 12. I'm going to multiply with negative 1 throughout. Then I get x plus 12 on top. Is that right? Yes. Happy?
Yeah.
But then this small, larger and equal sign changes around. So now I've got a change of that sign. Why? It's just as if I've taken this whole fraction and taken it over to the other side of the equation so that the signs might change. Okay, now I'm going to set up my line to get all the values. Look at this. The one value is negative 12. The other one is negative 2. And the other one is 3. But it's not allowed to be 3. It's not allowed to be negative 2 because then I'm dividing with zeros and that's undefined. And I'm going to put in any value larger than 3, a 20. A 20 is a plus on top, a plus there, and that will give me a plus. So there's a negative, there's a plus, and there's a negative. I'm looking for all the negatives now because that sign that changed around. The negatives are there and there. So my x values must be smaller or equal than negative 12, or what? Starting from negative 2 right all the way to 3, but it's not allowed to be equal. So it's just smaller and larger. X element real. Look at that.
Can you just
expect you
zoom
to do
out a
something
little
like
bit
that.
for me?
Hmm?
Can you
Not
just
with
zoom out a
inequalities.
little for me?
Pardon?
Yeah, that's fine. No, I just wanted you to zoom out, but it's fine like this. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so now I'm going to show you one more thing that's kind of important. So for instance, I've got something like this. X minus 1 squared, bracket, x plus 3 is larger or equal than 0. Now you must be very careful. If you have any square over a bracket, or if you have an x square and then 3, let's say, anything like this, let's say x plus 2. Look at those two. There's either a square on top of a bracket or a square on top of the x. So in other words, there's an x square. Then you must be really careful. Why? There's my line because something is squared now. Once it's squared, it's always a positive. So my root values are negative 3 and 1. But now look what happens here. If I put a value larger than 1 in, like a 10, 10 minus 1 squared is a positive. 10 plus 3 is a positive. Positive times a positive is a positive. Now, that thing out of that bracket, that square will always be a positive. It can never be a negative. So it won't change. So if I put any value between negative 3 and 1, like a 0 in, I get a positive again there. So this is a positive again. See that? It's not alternating. Now, if I put any value less than negative 3, like negative 10, I have a negative there, and then that one becomes a negative. So when must this equation be larger or equal than 0? Well, anything from 3 onwards, negative 3 onwards. So x must be larger or equal than negative 3. Could have written it like this also. Oops. Could have written it, hey screen. You could have written it as x larger or equal to -3, depending on it. That looks neater. And then your textbook might add that x is element of real, in other words, real numbers. Same with the one on the right. There's my line. There's a 0 value. That x at the back. And there's a -2. Now, because there's a square, everything here will always be positive. Put a value larger than 0 in, like a 10. 10 plus 2 is a positive. Positive times a positive is a positive. Put any value between -2 and 0 in, like -1. It will both be positive again. And then that one will be negative. Okay. So I'm looking for values smaller than 0. So this is only where x is smaller than -2 and real. Happy?
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna, well, this is like throwing a little spanner in the works because these fractions ones are more difficult than the linear ones. And yeah, you'll have to just, you'll probably get some of them now because your textbook has got a lot of them in. What else did we do?
Check here. Should we do what we already completed?
Yeah, I just want to know what else is in your algebra chapter that we haven't done. We've done
Okay.
quadratic equations, we've done completing the square, we've done the formula, we've done equations with roots in them, we've done substitution method or K method, we've done inequalities and simultaneous solutions. Did we do any exponents and surds?
I don't know. We didn't do sums.
We didn't do surds.
Not that I remember. No.
Okay, so we still have to look at some exponential work. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What is a surd? It's like a root. No. Okay. There's not a lot of time, so I'm just going to look at the basic. So I'm actually just going to look at the basics. If you have 2 to the power of x times 2 to the power of x plus 1, how can we actually do that? What's that? What would the value be there? It's the same as saying y to the power of 3 times y to the power of 4. What would that sum on the right equate to?
Won't you just plus the...
Yeah, you'll just add the exponents, so that'd be y to the power of 7. So we're going to do exactly the same on the left-hand side. We're just going to add the exponents. X plus x is 2x plus 1. What is really important to realize is that is not a 2. That is 2 to the power of x. So that's an unknown value. It's just unknown. So you can't say, very important, this is not 4 to the power of x plus 1. That's wrong. Happy? Okay. Right. So now what you need to be able to do in grade 11, you need to be able to do the following. You need to do this. If I have 8 to the power of x plus 3, you need to be able to take that 8 and convert it into prime number. Can you fact on your calculator? Do you actually know how to fact? How to get the prime values? Put your calculator on.
Fact. Won't you just say should fact?
Yeah, you just write 8 equals and then shift. The fact button is on top of that time button. It's that little dot thing. Do you see that?
Gives you 2 to the power of 3.
Yeah. So that's 2 to the power of 3. And then those exponents of x plus 3 will be on top there. And then you can multiply that out. See that?
Yeah. So it's 3x plus 1.
Okay. And then you must be able to split it open. 2 to the power of 3x times 2 to the power of 9. Did you get that?
Yeah.
You can do this. then then the exponents are not going to be a real problem to you. So let's just practice a couple of them. So if I have 27 to the power of x minus 1 times 9 to the power of minus 2x, I can do the following. 27 is 3 to the power of 3, and then x minus 1. And 9 is 3 to the power of 2 minus 2x. Happy?
Yeah.
Okay. That is 3 to the power of 3x minus 3 times 3 to the power of minus 4x. Now you can add those exponents if you want to. That is 3 times minus 4 is minus x minus 3. Happy? You understand that?
Yeah.
And now you can split it up if you want to. That's 3 to the power of minus x times 3 to the power of minus 3. Okay. You have no idea what you are writing on in that test. Let's just make sure. Let's just stop the recording, yeah? Because we